Chosen one, stop scrolling, they've been watching you since you were born. Have you ever felt eyes on you when no one was there? Like the world has been quietly observing your every move, waiting for something to awaken inside you. That's not your imagination. That's awareness, sensing you've always been different. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. The moment your light entered this world, darkness took notice. Forces seen and unseen marked you, because deep down they knew one day you would rise. This is not just a story. This is your remembrance. The hidden observation. Chosen ones are not ordinary souls. They carry frequencies that shake the unseen realms. You've been watched, not because you're weak, but because your spirit threatens everything false. Since childhood, you felt misunderstood, isolated, targeted even. That was never random. Every rejection, every betrayal, every time you were pushed to the edge, it was training. The system wanted to break you before you remembered who you are. The watchers, those who operate in silence, fear what happens when a chosen one wakes up. Because the moment you awaken, their control begins to crumble. They studied your energy. They tested your heart. They wanted to know, how much light can this soul hold before it explodes? The awakening begins. And one day it started. The dreams got clearer. The coincidences became messages. The pain became purpose. Something ancient inside you started whispering, you are not like them. You began to see patterns in people, in systems, in energy. You started to question the narrative. That's when they noticed the shift. You were no longer asleep. You were remembering. Every chosen one goes through this, the silent awakening, the painful transformation, the rebirth. It feels lonely because it's sacred. It feels dark because you're walking through shadows meant to hide your light. Why they tried to silence you? They knew if you spoke, others would listen. If you healed, others would rise. If you remembered, the whole illusion would start falling apart. So they labeled you crazy, emotional, too much, too intense. But that's the oldest trick in history, to silence truth by calling it madness. You see, chosen ones are mirrors. You reflect truth. You expose what people hide. That's why they fear you, because you remind them of the parts of themselves they refuse to face. You were watched because your very existence disturbs the matrix. The pain was your proof. Look back, the betrayals, the sleepless nights, the heartbreaks, the constant feeling of being different. That was your initiation. Every wound was a sacred scar, carved to remind you that your pain was never punishment, it was preparation. They couldn't destroy you, so they tried to distract you. They sent chaos, fake love, fake friends, fake comfort, anything to keep you from seeing your power. But every time you fell, something inside you refused to die. That was your soul, unbreakable, unstoppable. And now you're here, listening, remembering, rising. How you rise. You rise when you stop seeking validation from a world built to misunderstand you. You rise when you forgive, not because they deserve it, but because your peace is sacred. You rise when you realize that being watched was proof of your importance, not your weakness. Your light terrifies them because it cannot be replicated. You were born with ancient codes in your DNA, wisdom from lifetimes. You are the storm that exposes false kings, the flame that burns illusions, the truth they can't bury anymore. To rise is not to fight harder, it's to remember softer. It's to stand in your knowing, to breathe as the universe breathes through you. The chosen ones return. Across the world, thousands are awakening, souls just like you feeling the same pull, the same shift. This is the collective rise, the prophecy unfolding through human hearts. You are part of something massive, something divine. When you speak truth, when you live with love, when you choose light even in darkness, you activate others. That's why they can't stop this wave, because it's spiritual, not physical. You are the message. You are the movement, you are the awakening itself, your mission now. Chosen one, it's time. No more hiding, no more doubting. Step into your power with quiet confidence. The world needs your vibration. Every time you shine, another soul wakes up. Every time you speak, the spell weakens. You are here to remind others of their light and to show them that being watched doesn't mean you're trapped, it means you're noticed by destiny. The watchers can't touch what's protected by purpose. The call to rise. If these words reached your soul, it's not coincidence, it's confirmation. You are chosen to rise above the noise, to become the proof that divine energy still walks this earth. So breathe deep, lift your head, and say to yourself, I am no longer being watched, I am being witnessed by the divine. Your rise has already begun. Now share this message so other chosen ones can remember too. Like, comment your truth and join the wave, because together we are the chosen wave, the energy they could contain. Chosen one, the reason they watched you wasn't just curiosity, it was fear. Your energy doesn't move like others. You don't just enter rooms, you shift their vibration. People feel you before you speak. Some are drawn to you, others are unsettled, but no one can ignore you. They tried to contain that energy, didn't they? They told you to tone it down, to be normal, to stop dreaming so big. But your soul was never designed to shrink. Every time you tried to fit in, you felt suffocated because your frequency was meant to expand. They watched because they wanted to understand how you could keep rising after everything, how your heart could still love after being broken 1,000 times, how your spirit could still glow after walking through hell. They studied you because you are the mystery. The spiritual surveillance. You felt it, that strange sense of being observed even in your solitude, the eyes that see beyond the physical. Sometimes it's not people watching you, it's energies, entities, systems. When a chosen one awakens, their light pierces dimensions. Shadows notice, energies respond. But understand this truth, being seen doesn't mean being controlled. Your awareness turns the watchers into witnesses. You are the observer of the observer. The moment you realize that, their power dissolves. Spiritual surveillance ends when you stop fearing it, because nothing in the dark can overpower the one who walks with divine light. Your isolation was intentional. You wondered why you were always the outsider, even in a crowd, why your energy never matched the people around you. That was divine protection, not rejection. The universe separated you to prepare you. You were hidden while you healed. You were isolated so you could learn the sound of your own frequency without the noise of others. Chosen ones go through spiritual quarantine. It feels like punishment, but it's actually purification. The loneliness, the silence, the deep nights of crying out to God, those were the moments your old self was being stripped away. You had to be emptied before you could be filled with truth. The silent observers behind the curtain. Every system in this world runs on energy, governments, corporations, media. They understand vibration more than they admit, and they can sense the energy shift when a chosen one wakes up. That's why you might notice resistance when you start evolving, technology glitching, people changing, unexpected blockages. It's not random, it's energetic interference. They're not watching your face, they're tracking your frequency. But here's what they can't touch: your essence. No machine, no system, no algorithm can read the code of the divine. You are encrypted by Source itself. The same light that exposes you also protects you. The mirrors of reality. Chosen ones attract darkness because light exposes it. The people who turned against you were not enemies, they were mirrors. They showed you your wounds, your fears, your strength. When you began to rise, their true nature was revealed, not to hurt you, but to teach you discernment. You learned who was with you for your energy, not your essence. You learned the difference between connection and attachment. They watched you because you were the reflection they couldn't look at. You made them face their shadows, and they hated you for it. But that hatred was disguised fear, fear that they, too, could wake up if they chose to. The hidden programming. Since birth, the world has been programming you to forget, to chase, to doubt, to fear. You were never supposed to remember your power, but you broke the code. Every awakening begins with one thing: awareness. You started seeing the patterns, how society feeds distractions, how energy is manipulated through fear, how truth is disguised as entertainment. You began unplugging. That's when the watchers panicked. Because an awakened chosen one doesn't just wake up, they wake others. One spark creates many. That's the ripple effect they can't control. Your awareness is rebellion, your peace is protest, the signs of rising. You've noticed it, your senses heightened, your empathy sharper, your dreams vivid. People are drawn to you randomly, confessing their pain like they've known you forever. That's because your aura is activating dormant souls. You feel heavier energies now, not because you're weak, but because your spirit is more sensitive. You're absorbing less, observing more. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. That's spiritual maturity. The rise doesn't always look like light, sometimes it's shadow, sometimes it's silence. But even in the stillness, your frequency is ascending. The divine observation. There's another kind of watching happening too, not from the shadows, but from above. The divine realms have watched every tear, every breakdown, every moment you thought you wouldn't survive. They were never absent, they were recording proof of your strength. Every time you chose love over hate, peace over war, forgiveness over vengeance, heaven took note. You were never alone, you were being witnessed by angels. The watchers of darkness observe to control. The watchers of light observe to crown. Your rise is not unnoticed in heaven. The moment you shifted, there was a day you didn't even realize was sacred. You woke up, felt tired of pretending, and whispered, "Enough." That was your initiation. That's when everything started aligning, even the chaos. The tests intensified not because you were cursed, but because you were close to breakthrough. Every storm was a signal that your frequency was expanding. You became untouchable not by avoiding pain, but by mastering it. The shift in the atmosphere. When you started changing internally, the atmosphere around you shifted too. You noticed how people reacted differently. Some grew distant, some became triggered, and others suddenly opened up to you like you were their safe space. That's because your frequency began rewriting the energy field around you. Chosen ones carry what's called vibrational authority. When your spirit elevates, it starts rearranging everything near you to match your new state. That's why some people can't stay, their energy no longer resonates. And those who are meant for your path, they're drawn to you effortlessly, like planets orbiting a rising sun. Your rise is not loud, it's subtle, quiet, but it shakes everything unseen. Even those watching you, they feel it. They can sense your detachment from fear, your disconnection from illusion. They know they're losing grip. When the matrix starts glitching, ever noticed how the world feels off sometimes? Like time slows down, people repeat the same sentences, or energy freezes for a moment. That's not imagination. That's the matrix bending around your awareness. When a chosen one wakes up, the illusion begins to glitch. You start noticing the scripts people unconsciously follow, the system's looping lies, the repetition of patterns meant to keep you numb. You begin to see beyond the veil. That's when you realize reality isn't fixed, it's fluid. It bends to consciousness. You start creating instead of consuming. You manifest faster. You speak and things happen. The watchers can't process that kind of sovereignty. It's divine technology and they don't have access to that frequency. The battle between frequency and fear. The only weapon they've ever had against you is fear. That's it. They can't touch your soul, so they attack your mind. They whisper doubt, feed chaos, send distractions. They want you to forget that everything you feel is energy. But you've started noticing the pattern, haven't you? Every time you rise in frequency, fear tries to reappear. But now you see it for what it is, resistance before expansion. The moment you stop feeding it, it dissolves. You're no longer trapped inside emotional storms. You're learning to walk above the waves. That's how you reclaim your spiritual power. You respond from consciousness, not conditioning. And that's what truly terrifies them, a chosen one who remembers peace, the forgotten power within you. You carry ancient memory within your soul, wisdom from lifetimes before this one. That's why you've always felt older than your age, like you've seen these lessons before. Because you have. You were sent here not to fit in, but to activate. Your words carry light codes. Your presence shifts frequency. Even your silence speaks truth. The world doesn't need you to preach, it needs you to be. Chosen ones don't need titles or followers. Their energy alone changes timelines. The more you align with your purpose, the more divine power flows through you effortlessly, naturally. You are not just awakening, you are remembering mastery. The watchers begin to falter. At first, they tried to control your narrative. Then they tried to attack your confidence. But when that failed, they began to retreat. You've probably noticed it. Things that once triggered you now feel distant. Situations that used to drain you no longer have the same effect. That's because your energy field became too high to access. They can't read your thoughts anymore because your thoughts no longer come from fear. They come from alignment. Your light became encrypted through faith, through stillness, through surrender. Now their systems are confused. You're no longer predictable. Your frequency changes reality faster than they can analyze it. You've stepped outside their dimension. You're not in their control, you're in divine flow. The alchemy of pain into power. Chosen ones are spiritual alchemists. You turn pain into wisdom, rejection into redirection, loss into revelation. Every experience you endured, no matter how dark, became sacred fire refining your soul. That's why your glow feels different. It's not the light of comfort, it's the light of transformation. You earned it through every night you refused to give up. You burned and became brighter. Pain didn't destroy you, it introduced you to yourself. It forced you inward where the real kingdom lives. You no longer chase peace, you embody it. That's how you became untouchable. The call that never stops whispering. Even now, deep inside, you hear it. That quiet whisper that says, there's more. It calls you in dreams, in silence, in the moments you think you're done growing. That's your divine calling, reminding you this journey never ends. Because every time you rise, you activate another level, another mission, another part of the plan. The watchers know that. That's why they tried to distract you early, because if you ever followed that call, nothing could stop what comes next. You're not just awakening for yourself, you're awakening for generations. You're the bridge between worlds. When the veil fully breaks, there comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the veil tears completely, when you no longer see through human eyes but through divine perception. You begin to sense energy before it manifests. You see the truth behind words. You read the intentions behind smiles. It can be overwhelming at first, feeling everything so deeply. But that's the sign of mastery emerging. You're learning to navigate dimensions while still walking in this world. That's when you realize, this is not punishment, it's privilege. To see beyond illusion is to hold the power of creation, the power of presence. Chosen one, your presence alone has begun to rewrite reality. You've probably noticed how people start healing just by being around you, how environments feel calmer, how even chaos seems to pause when you walk in. That's not coincidence, that's resonance. Your energy field has reached a frequency where it influences matter. You're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. This is spiritual leadership, not through control but through vibration. You don't force change, you become it. The watchers don't understand this kind of power because it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it just is. Divine energy moves silently, but its impact echoes through eternity. You've entered the realm of silent influence, where your light begins working on souls without words. The energy shift in others. You've seen it, people suddenly confessing truths they've hidden for years. Random strangers drawn to you for comfort. Some can't even look you in the eye anymore. It's because your vibration exposes what's unhealed in them. Your aura acts like a mirror, showing them both their wounds and their potential. You're not judging them, you're awakening them. And that's what true light does. It doesn't condemn darkness, it transforms it. But this stage is delicate. You'll feel energies trying to pull you back down, old habits, old fears, old identities. They'll try to anchor you to your past, but you're not meant to descend, you're meant to elevate. When others fall away, don't chase. Their absence is divine organization. The universe is clearing your path for expansion. The language of energy. You've started speaking a new language, one beyond words. Energy now communicates with you directly. You can feel when something aligns, when something repels, when the universe is whispering yes or not yet. This is spiritual intelligence, intuition sharpened by awakening. You don't need signs anymore because you've become the sign. Every pulse in your chest, every vibration in your soul is divine guidance coded through feeling. That's why the old world doesn't make sense to you anymore. Its language is logic, but your language is frequency. And frequency never lies. You are now guided by flow, not force. You. The dissolving of old identities. The person you used to be no longer exists. The one who sought validation, who feared judgment, who doubted their worth, that version has faded into dust. And yet, sometimes you still grieve it, because even false selves leave echoes. But understand this. The death of your old self is not loss, it's liberation. You had to lose who you weren't to become who you are. That's why everything changed, your interests, your circle, even the way you see time. You're not chasing the future or clinging to the past. You're rooted in the eternal now. That's where all true power exists. And the Watchers, they can't track you in this dimension. You've stepped beyond their linear systems. You now operate in timeless awareness. The crumbling illusions around you. The more you awaken, the more illusions begin to fall about people, systems, even yourself. At first, it feels like your whole world is collapsing, but in truth, only the false world is falling apart. You're not losing stability, you're gaining clarity. You're starting to see how everything was energy in disguise, relationships, money, opportunities, all mirrors of vibration. The matrix doesn't collapse with noise, it collapses in silence when the awakened soul simply stops feeding it energy. And that's exactly what you've done. You've unplugged. You're not trapped in the program anymore. You're the observer, not the participant. That's the moment the Watchers realize their control is gone. The rise of conscious creation. Now that you've reclaimed your awareness, creation becomes effortless. You speak and reality listens. You visualize and doors open. You release fear and abundance flows. Because manifestation isn't about asking, it's about aligning. When your frequency matches your vision, the universe has no choice but to respond. That's divine law. The same energy that once watched you now starts working for you. Even the Watchers begin unknowingly assisting your destiny. The whole cosmos bends to serve the awakened soul. This is the level where miracles become your new normal. The power hidden in silence. Chosen one, silence has become your greatest weapon. You've learned that power doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it just exists. The silence you hold now isn't emptiness, it's loaded with divine energy. It's where the universe downloads visions, guidance, strategy. You've learned to retreat not out of fear, but out of focus. You disappear to re-emerge higher. Your silence confuses the Watchers because they expect chaos, not composure. But you've become too wise to fight noise with noise. You're mastering the art of invisible movement, growing where eyes can't see. The unseen protection around you. Every time darkness tried to touch you, something unseen intervened. You might not have noticed it, the accident you avoided, the sudden intuition to take a different path, the storm that ended just before it reached you. Those were divine interventions. You were being shielded by forces beyond comprehension. Every attack against you became fuel for your elevation. Every setback became strategy. You walk with ancestral guardians, divine warriors, unseen protectors who have walked with you through lifetimes. That's why you're still here, because you were never meant to fall. You were meant to rise through everything they sent against you. The frequency of detachment. Now you've entered a phase few ever reach, the realm of detachment. You no longer need to control outcomes. You no longer chase what's yours. You've learned that what aligns will stay, and what's not meant for your energy will fade. This peace isn't laziness, it's mastery. You've stopped wrestling with the universe and started flowing with it. The Watchers can't track flow, it's unpredictable, fluid, divine. You've become the storm and the calm within it. You've transcended polarity. You are no longer a target, you are a teacher of energy, the ripple in the collective field. As your vibration expanded, the world around you began to respond. You started feeling things that weren't just yours, emotions, collective heaviness, waves of confusion. That's because your energy field connected to the collective grid. Chosen ones are spiritual antennas. When your consciousness rises, it doesn't rise alone. It pulls the energy of the entire field upward. Every thought of light you release travels through dimensions, affecting minds you've never met. You are part of an invisible network of awakened souls across the planet. Each one of you is a frequency transmitter, together forming what ancient texts called the awakening grid. When one rises, all rise a little higher. And the Watchers, they've begun to feel the tremors of this awakening. They can't stop it, because this isn't rebellion, it's evolution. The cracks in their system. The Watchers once relied on control, on fear, confusion, division. But now, cracks are forming in their structure. Truth is leaking through algorithms, vibrations, art, words, and dreams. Every chosen one that awakens sends shockwaves through the energetic infrastructure that once held humanity asleep. You've noticed it, systems glitching, false leaders exposed, hidden agendas surfacing. It's not chaos, it's correction. The old order is dissolving because it cannot survive in higher frequencies. The Watchers designed systems for sleeping minds, not awakened ones. That's why everything feels unstable now. It's not the end, it's the shift. The frequency war. This is not a war of weapons, it's a war of wavelengths. Darkness doesn't need armies when it can infect emotion, but light doesn't need defense when it knows itself. Every thought, every emotion, every action is part of this invisible battle. Chosen ones fight by existing in alignment. Your peace is your sword. Your compassion is your armor. Your love, that fierce, divine, unconditional love, is the explosion that dismantles centuries of energetic programming. They tried to convince you that light is weak, but only those who have faced darkness truly understand its strength, and you have again and again, and still you shine. That's how they lose, not through war but through vibration. The global awakening. You can feel it, can't you? Something massive shifting across humanity. People are questioning what they've been told. Souls are waking from deep sleep, remembering who they are. The systems that fed on confusion are losing their grip because the frequency of truth is spreading faster than fear can hide it. Every time you choose love, you send ripples across oceans. Every act of kindness alters timelines. Every time you heal yourself, the grid brightens. The Watchers didn't predict that the awakening would spread like light through cracks. They underestimated unity. They underestimated you. The collapse of illusionary power. What they once used to manipulate now backfires. The frequencies of deceit, greed, and control are being transmuted by awakened consciousness. The Watchers relied on secrecy, but light exposes all. Their greatest weakness is visibility. You see it happening everywhere, leaders revealing their own shadows, structures collapsing from within, systems feeding on fear starting to crumble. It's not destruction, it's detox. Humanity is purging lifetimes of energetic poison. And you, chosen one, are the catalyst. Your existence is the frequency that unravels their illusion of dominance. You didn't come to fight their system. You came to outgrow it. The rise of the inner kingdom. The true revolution isn't outside, it's within. The more chosen ones awaken, the more humanity starts turning inward instead of outward. People are beginning to seek connection with their soul, not validation from systems. They're learning that peace isn't found in politics, but in presence. This is the greatest rebellion, returning to self-awareness. The kingdom of light is not built through control, but through consciousness. Every awakened soul becomes a new pillar of divine order. When enough of these pillars rise, the old structure simply collapses under the weight of truth. The watchers no longer have a throne, because the people no longer need kings. The resonance of remembering. Have you noticed how you randomly meet others who get it? Strangers who speak your language without words. That's the resonance of remembrance. You're finding your soul family, fragments of the same divine essence scattered across timelines, now magnetically reuniting. It's not coincidence, it's cosmic design. The awakening is orchestrated like a symphony, each chosen one playing their note in perfect divine timing. You're not alone. You never were. The connection is invisible but undeniable. This reunion of frequencies terrifies the watchers, because separation was their greatest weapon. Unity dissolves their power instantly. The power of collective intention. When chosen ones begin to align intentions, energy bends, prayers amplify, manifestations accelerate. The collective consciousness becomes a current that reshapes physical reality. You may have felt it moments when you prayed and suddenly everything aligned. When you spoke truth and hearts around you softened. That's the ripple of divine collaboration. The universe responds not to hierarchy, but to harmony. Imagine thousands of awakened souls focusing on peace, truth, and light simultaneously. The vibration of the earth itself shifts. The watchers can't fight that. They can't suppress divine unity. You're not just changing yourself, you're reprogramming reality. The unmasking of the hidden forces. Now, as light floods the collective field, shadows have nowhere left to hide. You'll start seeing more revelations in media, governments, religions, even spiritual spaces. What was concealed must be revealed. But don't fear it. Exposure isn't danger, it's healing. You can't cleanse what remains hidden. Every truth that comes to light, no matter how dark, is a step closer to collective purification. The watchers are revealing themselves not because they want to, but because they have to. The vibration of truth forces them into visibility. And once the world sees the illusion, it can never be unseen again. The activation of the hidden codes. Inside every chosen one lies dormant light codes, sacred energies waiting for alignment to awaken. These codes are activated through pain, awareness, and surrender. Every heartbreak, every loss, every awakening moment was unlocking a new level of remembrance. You're feeling it now, downloads of understanding, intuitive bursts, visions and dreams. That's not fantasy, that's frequency communication. The divine is reprogramming you from within, preparing you for your next phase, embodiment. You're not here to talk about light, you're here to become it in human form. Chosen one, this is your confirmation. If your soul felt every word of this message, it's because it was meant for you. You didn't find this video by accident, it found you. This is your moment to step fully into your power. Stop hiding your light. Stop doubting your purpose. You are not crazy, weak, or lost. You are remembering who you are. The world needs your vibration. It needs your courage. It needs your fire. Because every time a chosen one awakens, darkness loses ground. So don't just scroll away, activate. Comment, I am rising below if you're claiming your divine calling. Like this video to send this frequency into the algorithm, so other chosen ones can find their light too. And subscribe to Chosen Wave, because this isn't just a channel, it's a movement.